He has no respect for you.
She's right.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
It seems like the wokest game on the planet has finally got its release date, and it's August 20th, if I'm reading correctly, and it's called Dustborn. If you haven't heard about Dustborn, it's an amalgamation of all the progressive concepts of video game characters coming together to make one game that everyone is hating online. And I think that's the case with Dustborn. A lot of people are ratioing it. People are talking trash about the game with its new trailer. And if you don't know the elements of the game itself, it's about, of course, power and speech and marking your words, and it was born out of the 2016 election. This is something said by the developers themselves. They felt like they were disenfranchised and a marginalized community. This is developers in Norway, so the developers in Norway, they felt victimized by the 2016 election, so they wanted to develop a game with all their progressive social values and the power of words. And you see it right here with so much different, diverse, and socially distinct characters that they seem so similar nowadays. We have the person with the patches of white skin. We have the bull nose ring, half hair black woman that we see in a lot of franchises, whether it's the Killmonger haircut or is some variation of that. And of course, we have the very gender neutral men that you can see that some of them are non-binary and others are just very flamboyant. And I think this is something we would expect from a developer that is coming out in the modern day Western influence sphere of video games, where things are mostly focused on diversity and not really gameplay. And this is supposed to be an action-packed game, but even the developer themselves said it's more of a story walking simulator. And I think that's what we can get from the trailer itself. Even though you have some bits of action here or there, this is going to be made in the similar design of a lot of the Telltale games that are made mostly based on the story, less so on action, and even has the same kind of overall animation style that we see, or graphic style. So it's not built for action, and I think that's fine if you want to do that. But this is a game that is being usually satirized and trashed on the social media for its attempts to be everything for everyone and ended up being nothing for no one. And I think that's the case for Dustborn. It's coming from a Norwegian developer from Norway. It's called Red Thread, the creators of the game. They wanted to make something with the soul of Norway, and they want to include a lot of diversity, inclusiveness for mature audiences. And I think they probably achieved that with the overall look of the game. And if you look at some of the properties of the game, you can see that it's in a fascist dictatorship, and he has that representing what happened in the 2016 election. If these fascist powers came into being, what would the rebels do of that society? And of course, the rebels all look like people that are social progressives, who are the majority of the population right now, I would have to say, or the majority influence if you look on social media platforms. So it is ironic to see this kind of come out in a late stage where it isn't actually ringing true to the current day society, but it has come out to a lot of, I would say, jokes, not vitriol or anything, anger. People just joking about, okay, this is the most stereotypical progressive piece of Western entertainment that is coming out this year, because it's trying to do everything right and it's trying to please everyone. And I highly suspect it will make some minority group very angry. I think that's what occurs when you try to please everyone, especially in these very social inclusive environments. You're going to make someone angry about something you did wrong. You're going to anger the small finger people or fat toe people or anyone else with some sort of marginalized thinking. They're going to be angry at this game. I can see it coming a mile away. But obviously the internet is very angry, or at least I have to say they're having their fun at this game, just joking about its timing and its release. And you can see this all over Twitter or X, where people were saying, I wouldn't be shocked if Sweet Baby Inc. was involved with this. Looks like their game. You can obviously see that with just the overall diversity of cast. And I think this is something people wouldn't have made fun of if previous games like this were a lot better than they were. But since that's not the case, people are going to assume, okay, we have a diverse cast, it's probably a terrible game, because usually the worst writers write on those games with the worst perspective. So it's just a developed habit now for gamers to assume any diverse cast is terrible. And I think that's the sad part about this. We have people suspecting anything with a diverse cast now is probably terribly written or a poor game. And that's just based on people like Sweet Baby Inc. that have no talent for writing or producing games. And their influence is having a negative effect where people are just going to assume anything with a diverse cast is terrible now because of Sweet Baby Inc. and consultancy firms like that. And I think that's what we're seeing with Dustborn, where it might be a good story, it might be a good game, we don't know that, but looking at the cast itself, you can just tell, oh, this is going to be trash. And I think that's the response you're getting online, where people are saying, okay, we know what's going to happen, this is going to be a trash game, this is going to be a game that's lecturing me about politics and social progressive ideology, and everyone must be this or that way, and no one really wants to be there for it. And I think that is the response we're getting online, and these people just saying and expressing their thoughts and feelings about the game. They're saying, I did that hairstyle again. Of course, that's the Killmonger hairstyle, or the butch LGBTQ person hairstyle, half shaven head. We see it all the time everywhere, and everyone is expecting, okay, this is one of those bad games made by those people that have no talent, so we can expect this to be terrible. And I think it is a fair thing to think that right now, since it's been consistently happening for the past decade or so, with the exception of Baldur's Gate 3. But even Baldur's Gate 3 didn't have that half-shaven haircut. Maybe it does. So it seems like that is the case right now. People are just kind of dunking on this game. This is a hard pass based on the banner art alone. Woman protagonist, check. Black lady protagonist, check. Wakanda hair, check. I'm tougher than men face, check. I wonder who's behind this project. And there we go, people are already having the clues right in front of their face, and they already can understand the project itself without even playing the game. And I think that's the unfortunate thing about the people that write nowadays. You can understand everything about their game by just giving it a glance, and I think that is the thing people are bored about, having a cookie cutter predictable style because you're locked in a social political view that you can't escape from, and you don't want to expand thoughts anywhere else because you just want to teach the gamer. And the gamer can predict this. The gamers are out there, they can see your pattern and they notice what you're trying to do, and it makes the game's boring essentially when you have this ideology that you're trying to impose on the fan base. And I think that is a essential thing that we're seeing right now, where people are like, we're tired of this. My strong black female, my obese woman, non-binary next to her, art looking like Fallout ripoff. We're tired of this. And I think you can see that in these comments right here, where people are saying, why are we continuing to get this borderland ugly art, and we're not impressed by it. And I think that is what people are saying. They hate the awful haircut, and I think that is the similarities that we're seeing with the people that are in control of these consultancy firms that are influencing developers, where we're seeing these cookie cutter patterns where these developers can't even see beyond themselves because they think they're the first to do everything. They think they're the first female, first Asian, first black, first everything, when these things have been done in the industry over 30 years ago. We had the first all of these, but they weren't in the industry, so they don't know that. And so they come in, they had never played video games, they don't know anything about the history of video games, so they think they're the first at everything when they're probably the 100th at everything, and they miss the point of video games entirely. And I think that's what people are tired of from these developers, where you're hiring consultancy firms or you're hiring developers that have no understanding of video games and don't play the games and don't know the art and are there just to proudly stand there and say I'm the first, when they're not the first. They're probably going to be the last because they tarnished the name of any minority group that was looking to get a job in the industry, because you're associating it with incompetence and talentless wrecks like these that are trying to develop games for no other reason, just to feel good about themselves. And I think that is the thing that makes me angry about these developers right now. They're just destroying the name of people that actually might have talent, and now no one's going to give them a chance because people are used to seeing people of their minority group make terrible games like this. And I think that is the legacy of Dustborn and other games that are associated with it. But that's just my thoughts on the situation. You tell me what you think. Like, share, and subscribe. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.